हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, आज हम लोग सेकंड बायोमोलिक्यूल के बारे में पढ़ेंगे जो है प्रोटीन्स। इससे पहले हमने कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स पढ़ा था, जिसमें ग्लूकोज, फ्रक्टोज, इन सब के बारे में हमने डिस्कस किया था। और सेकंड बायोमोलिक्यूल अब हमारा जो है इस चैप्टर में वह प्रोटीन्स। तो प्रोटीन्स यहाँ से स्टार्ट हो रहा है। प्रोटीन्स के फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ में मेंशन किया गया है कि वाई इसकी अकरेंस बताई गई है, सोर्सेज बताए गए हैं, वाई प्रोटीन इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट फॉर आवर बॉडी। So protein is found to be the most abundant biomolecule. Sources इसके क्या क्या हैं, जैसे मिल्क, चीज़, पल्सेस, फिश, मीट एट्सेट्रा, यू ऑल नो। हम लोग इनसे जो है वी गेट प्रोटीन्स फ्रॉम ऑल दिस थिंग्स। एंड वाई द प्रोटीन्स आर रिक्वायर्ड फॉर द ग्रोथ एंड मेंटेनेंस ऑफ द बॉडी. It is the very important basis of for the growth of our body. Now, the basic unit of protein is alpha amino acids. Amino acids are the basic units of proteins, and especially alpha amino acids are the basic unit of proteins. Not all amino acids, only alpha amino acids. So here it is discussed that alpha amino acids are the basic units of proteins. Proteins are the polymers of alpha amino acids. Now, what are amino acids? Amino acids are the compounds which contain NH2 group, means amino group, and the carboxyl group. उसमें NH2 ग्रुप होना चाहिए और COH ग्रुप होना चाहिए, तो वो कंपाउंड जो है अमाइनो एसिड होता है। अमाइनो एसिड्स को हम लोग क्लासीफाई कर सकते हैं अल्फा, बीटा, गामा एंड सो ऑन. इट डिपेंड्स ऑन द रिलेटिव पोजिशन ऑफ द NH2 ग्रुप, अमाइनो ग्रुप, विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द कार्बोक्सिल ग्रुप, कि NH2 ग्रुप COH ग्रुप के कार्बन से कहाँ पर है, NH2 ग्रुप की पोजीशन कहाँ पर है, उसके हिसाब से हम लोग जो है अमीनो एसिड का क्लासिफिकेशन करते हैं एज अल्फा, बीटा एंड गामा. जैसे एग्जांपल मैंने लिया हुआ है, R group is present here, then CH, NH2 is here and COH is here. This is a carboxyl group, and carboxyl group is connected to a carbon. That carbon is called as alpha carbon. So if the NH2 group is present on the alpha carbon, then it is called as alpha amino acids. In the same way, if the NH2 group is present at the beta carbon, then it is called as beta amino acid. This is the COH group, and the carbon attached to this COH group is the alpha carbon, and the carbon next to this alpha carbon is the beta carbon. So if NH2 is attached to the beta carbon, then this amino acid category will become the beta amino acids. So on hydrolysis of proteins, we get only alpha amino acids. We get this type of amino acids only, alpha amino acids. So it is very important point of this chapter that we on hydrolysis of the proteins we get alpha amino acids. So here it is all mentioned that amino acids are of type alpha, beta, gamma and so on. Only alpha amino acids are obtained on hydrolysis of proteins. Okay. Now comes the structure of alpha amino acids. कि alpha amino acids होते कैसे हैं? C, then H group is attached to this, and R is attached to the carbon. NH2 group is attached to the alpha carbon of the amino acid, and there it is COH group. So this part is present in all alpha amino acids because NH2 group should be present in the alpha carbon, and there will be one hydrogen and one COH group. So this part is the basic unit of all alpha amino acids, and the remaining part R, this can be changed and in various amino acids, and according to this changing R, the various amino acids are formed. The various examples of amino acids are given here. If you replace this R by H only, then it is called as glycine. And we represent all the amino acids by the three letters G, L, Y. Three letters are used to represent the amino acids. If the group is CH3, then it is called as alanine. We represent it as ALA. And if the group is isopropyl, 3 carbon, and it is isopropyl 2 CH3 group, and then CH is attached to this basic unit, then it is called as valine. We represent it by VAL. And if the R group is CH3 twice CH2, this is isobutyl, then the group is called leucine, and then the amino acid is called leucine, and we represent it as LEU. If the group is present NH2 CH2 4, R group is this, then it is called as lysine, and it is represented as LEU, LYS. If the group is this COH CH2 CH2, then it is called as glutamic acid. It is also a very important amino acid, and it is represented by GLU. If the group is present COH CH2, then it is called as aspartic acid. If the group is C6H5 CH2, then it is called as phenylalanine. It is represented by PHE. This is also a very important amino acid. So if you replace this R group with various other alkyl groups or substituted groups, then you get the various categories of alpha amino acids. So these are some very common and important alpha amino acids I have discussed. Up to here in the book, all which I have told you is discussed up to here, that various categories of alpha amino acids are given in this list. This is the list of alpha amino acids. So basically there are 20 alpha amino acids present in the nature, which are the basic units of protein. Proteins are made of all these alpha amino acids. Now comes the classification of amino acids. Now, as you all know, the COH group is acidic in nature and NH2 group is basic in nature. तो COH और NH2 दोनों जो है अमाइनो ग्रुप में प्रेजेंट होते हैं. NH2 जो है बेसिक नेचर देता है, बेसिक कैरेक्टर देता है अमाइनो एसिड को, और COH ग्रुप जो है उसे एसिडिक कैरेक्टर देता है. लेकिन we have classify the amino acids according to this acidic and basic nature. Amino acid is called as acidic when it contains more number of COH groups than amino group, makes the amino acid acidic. If there are more number of COH groups present than the amino groups, then obviously it is acidic in nature. And when it is basic, if number of amino groups present in an alpha amino acid is more than carboxyl groups, then amino acid is basic in nature. If number of amino groups are present in an amino acid is more than carboxyl group, then it is basic in nature. And when it is called as neutral, if number of amino groups will become equal to the number of carboxyl group, then amino acid is said to be neutral in nature. It will be neither acidic nor basic, because the amino groups and carboxylic groups are same in number. So we can classify the amino acids as acidic, basic and neutral according to the number of which is present in a more quantity, amino group or a carboxyl group. Now the next very important classification of amino acids is essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids. So first of all, we will discuss essential amino acids. Those amino acids which cannot be synthesized in the body and they must be obtained through diet. We have to take from outside through our diet. They are not synthesized in the body. They are called as essential amino acids, which are essentially required by the body from outside diet. So examples are valine, leucine, phenylalanine and lysine. And now comes non-essential amino acids. This is a very important classification of amino acids. Non-essential amino acids, the amino acids which can be synthesized in the body, are called non-essential amino acids. They are synthesized in the body and they are not required from the diet from outside. So these are non-essential amino acids. So the examples are glycine, alanine, glutamic acid and aspartic acid. These are all non-essential amino acids. You can learn the examples of essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids. These are the common amino acids which can be classified into essential and non-essential amino acids. Now in this page, here comes the physical properties. Some physical properties of amino acids are discussed here. Like amino acids are colorless and crystalline solids. Amino acids behaves as salts. They neither behaves as acid or nor base, but they behave as a salt. These are some physical properties of amino acids. And one very important property which amino acid shows in aqueous solution is this, that the carboxyl group loses a proton while amino group accept that proton and becomes a dipolar ion known as deuterion. Aqueous solution में क्या होता है कि this is the COH group of amino acid. Now this proton will shift to the NH2 group of this. NH2 take this proton and COH will donate this proton to NH2 group, and CO carries the negative charge after donating the proton, and NH3 carries the positive charge after accepting the proton. So it occurs in this form in the aqueous solution. This is known as deuterion because it carries both the charges. In this molecule there is positive charges also and there is negative charge also, but overall this molecule is a neutral molecule. So this such type of molecules are called deuterion, in which both the charges are present. Instead of that it is neutral in nature. So it occurs in this form in aqueous solution, and when it makes a deuterion of this type, it can react with both acid as well as base. It behaves as amphoteric in nature. It is amphoteric in nature because it can react with acid as well as a base. So it is a very important property of amino acid discussed here in an aqueous solution. How it behaves, how the amino acid behaves in aqueous solution, what is the form it attain in the aqueous solution. So all it is written here, it contains both positive and negative charges, but it is neutral in nature. At this stage, amino acids show amphoteric nature as it can react both with the acids and the bases. जैसे हमने देखा था कि कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स में जो है ग्लूकोज डी फॉर्म और एल फॉर्म में एग्जिस्ट करता है, वैसे ही अमीनो एसिड्स भी जो डी और एल फॉर्म्स में एग्जिस्ट करते हैं. अल्फा अमीनो एसिड्स का बेसिक फॉर्मूला ये होता है COH connected to the alpha carbon and NH2 is connected to that alpha carbon, and R group is connected here and the one H is present here. So the two forms D and L forms exist of amino acids. In D form, the NH2 is present on the right hand side of the alpha carbon, and in the L form, NH2 is present on the left hand side of the alpha carbon. Most naturally occurring alpha amino acids are of the L form. L form of amino acids are formed in the nature. So like carbohydrates, amino acids भी जो है तो D और L forms में हम इनको recognize कर सकते हैं. NH2 जो है right hand side में होना चाहिए, H left hand side में होना चाहिए. And in L form, NH2 should be in the left side and H should be on the right side. So this is the classification of D and L forms of amino acids. Now हमने ये देखा है कि प्रोटीन्स जो होते हैं वो पॉलीमर्स होते हैं, अल्फा अमाइनो एसिड्स के पॉलीमर्स होते हैं. प्रोटीन्स आर द पॉलीमर्स ऑफ अल्फा अमाइनो एसिड्स. सो अल्फा अमाइनो एसिड्स शुड बी कनेक्टेड बाय सम बॉन्ड्स to make a protein. So these alpha amino acids are connected to each other by a peptide bond, or we call it as peptide linkage. So this peptide linkage is very important because proteins are made up of alpha amino acids, and alpha amino acids are connected with a peptide linkage or a peptide bond. So how this bond is formed? Like it is written here, in this the COH group of one amino acid combines with the NH2 group of another amino acid, resulting into the elimination of water and formation of an amide. This is how the peptide bond is formed. Like if this is one amino acid, this is one amino acid, alpha amino acid, this is glycine. NH2 is connected to the alpha carbon and two hydrogens are present here. So this is a glycine. This is a COH group of glycine, and this is another amino acid, alpha amino acid, which is alanine. Now, if you want to make the peptide bond, you have to take the COH group of one alpha amino acid and the NH2 group of another alpha amino acid, and then you have to remove water from the molecule. And remember, you have to remove OH from the COH group and H from the NH2 molecule. As in this way, the water molecule is removed and a peptide bond is formed, peptide linkage is formed like this. Here CO is remained and here NH is left. So CO NH bond is formed, and this is called as amide bond or the peptide linkage or peptide bond. So if we combine these two amino acids, glycine and alanine, we get the another dipeptide product, which is glycylalanine, which results from the peptide formation of peptide linkage between these two, glycine and alanine. So the compound is this, which is called as glycylalanine. So you take the example of this and mention it in when it comes to the what is the formation, how the peptide bond is formed and how the peptide linkage is formed in amino acids. So this is a very important concept of amino acids. So it is made from two amino acids, therefore it is called as dipeptide. Similarly, you can make tripeptide, tetrapeptides, etc. Tripeptide if three amino acids combine to form a protein, and when four amino acids combine to form a polymer of protein polymer. Because it is made from two amino acids, it is called as dipeptide. Similarly, you can make tripeptide, tetrapeptide, etc. If amino acids counts becomes greater than 10 in a chain, then it is called as polypeptides. You call them polypeptides, and many polypeptides join together to form proteins. When many polypeptide chains join together, they form a bigger unit, which is protein. In this way, you form proteins from the amino acids. Now comes the classification of proteins. In classification of proteins, we can classify broad classification. This is a broad classification of proteins. We can broadly classify proteins into fibrous proteins and globular proteins. Now the fibrous proteins, what are fibrous proteins? When a polypeptide chain runs parallel, they form fiber-like structures. They are called fibrous proteins. We know that proteins are made up of polypeptide chains. When these polypeptide chains are arranged in a parallel manner, they form fiber-like structures like this. They form fiber-like structures and they are called as fibrous proteins. Fibrous proteins are insoluble in water, and they have what type of bond they have in between the polypeptide chains? They have hydrogen and disulfide bonds present between them. An example of fibrous proteins is keratin. Keratin is present in the hair, in the wool, and myosin. Myosin is present in the muscles. You found myosin protein in the muscles. So these are the examples of fibrous proteins present in the nature. And next comes the globular protein. Globular proteins are those when the chains of polypeptide chains coil around to give spherical shape. When these polypeptide chains, proteins are made up of polypeptide chains, when these polypeptide chains coils like this way, coils around, they give globular structure. So they are called as globular proteins. They are soluble in water. Examples are insulin and albumin. You can give examples, insulin and albumin in the globular proteins. Now, when we know the intrastructure of proteins, how the proteins are formed, what is the intrastructure of the proteins, how proteins are made from inside, how the polypeptide chains are arranged, we classify proteins into four forms: primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure, and quaternary structure. The primary structure is the most important one because it is, you can say that it is the identity of any protein. The primary structure is the main identity of the proteins. So first of all, you should learn what the primary structure is. In proteins, amino acids are linked to each other in a specific sequence. This specific sequence is called the primary structure of proteins. In a primary structure, in a specific protein, alpha amino acids are arranged in a specific sequence like glycine, then alanine, lysine. Then this combination is called is a specific for one protein. And if you arrange glycine, lysine, and alanine, then the sequence gets changed and the proteins becomes altogether different protein. So the sequence matters, in what way the alpha amino acids are arranged, in what sequence in the protein. It matters to a particular protein, what type of a protein it is. So the primary structure is basically the sequence of amino acids which are linked in the structure. This specific sequence is called the primary structure of proteins. If any change occurs in the sequence of amino acids, then we get an entirely new protein. We can say it is the identity of protein. Primary structure is the identity of protein. In what way the alpha amino acids, in what sequence the alpha amino acids are arranged in a particular protein. Now comes the secondary structure. It tells the shape that primary structure of protein takes after bonding. So this was the primary structure, how the amino acids are arranged in a sequence in a primary structure. Now, so in secondary structure of proteins, it tells the shape that primary structure of proteins takes after bonding. Now what shape the primary structure will take after bonding, it is described by the secondary structure of the protein. So two shapes are shown by the secondary structure of proteins. These are alpha helix and beta plated sheet structure. Alpha helix and beta plated sheet structure. In two forms, the polypeptide chain primary structure of the proteins arrange itself to give the shape of a molecules. So in alpha helix structure, a polypeptide chain twists itself into a right-handed screw helix. A polypeptide chain arranges itself into a right-handed screw-like structure, this helix-like structure. So this is called as alpha helix structure of the polypeptide chain or a protein. This is a secondary structure of protein. And in beta pleated sheet structure, all polypeptide chains are stretched out to nearly maximum and lay side by side. Means polypeptide chains are stretched to maximum and then they are connected to each other by the hydrogen bonds. And they lay side by side. This is the beta pleated sheet structure. As it is shown in the NCERT also, you can consider NCERT to see the shapes of these two forms, alpha helix and beta plated sheet structure. This is the alpha helix form and this is the beta plated sheet structure. This is a polypeptide chain. Amino acids are arranged, and what type of bonding is seen here? The NH bond of this molecule connects with the oxygen of the CO bond of the adjacent amino acid, and hydrogen bond is formed. So hydrogen bonds are formed in this way in this alpha helix structure, and in beta plated sheet structure, hydrogen bond is also seen, and it is seen as intermolecular hydrogen bonding is seen. Here intramolecular hydrogen bonding is seen. The hydrogen bonding is in the within the molecule of a protein, but here the two molecules of different polypeptide chains undergo hydrogen bonding. In this way, the CO group of this is connected to the NH group of this and hydrogen bond is formed. So here the intramolecular hydrogen bonding is formed in beta plated sheet structure, and intermolecular hydrogen bonding is formed in the alpha helix structure of the proteins. So these are the structures of the alpha helix and beta plated sheet structure. As I have written here, which type of bonds are formed in the alpha helix. NH group of each amino acid residue hydrogen gets bonded to the CO of the adjacent turn in the helix, and they are held together by intermolecular hydrogen bonding, and here intramolecular hydrogen bonding is formed. You can write here intramolecular hydrogen bonding in alpha helix. Now comes the tertiary structure of proteins. Just a minute. Now comes the tertiary structure of proteins. Further folding of the secondary structure gives tertiary structure of proteins. Now we get the secondary structure of proteins in the form of alpha helix and beta plated sheet structure. If these structures gets further folds in these structures, secondary forms of the proteins, then we get the tertiary structure of proteins. It is written here, further folding of the secondary structure gives tertiary structure of the proteins. This is the tertiary structure, and now the quaternary structure. This is altogether, this is somewhat different. Some proteins are composed of 2 or more polypeptide chains which have different primary structures. In tertiary structure, secondary structure and primary structure, we have seen that primary structure was modified in secondary structure, and in tertiary structure, primary structure was first modified to take the shape of alpha helix or the beta plated form, and then further folds in that beta plated and alpha helix gives rise to the tertiary structure of proteins. But the primary structure was the only basic unit of that protein. But in quaternary structure, there may be 2 or more primary structures present. Different primary structures are present in a polypeptide chain. Polypeptide chains consist of different primary structures of different proteins. So some proteins are composed of 2 or more polypeptide chains which have different primary structures. They are called subunits. They are called the subunits of the polypeptide chains. Means 2 different type of polypeptide chains combines together to give rise to quaternary structure. How the subunits are arranged in a space, that is called as the quaternary structure of that protein. The spatial arrangement of these subunits with respect to each other is called quaternary structure of the proteins. How these 2 subunits are arranged in a space, you called it as quaternary structure of proteins. In NCERT, it is described very well. You can see the diagrams in the NCERT. Like this one is the primary structure of protein. This is the primary sequence of alpha amino acids connected in a primary structure. This is the primary structure of protein. Now in secondary structure, it takes the form of an alpha helix. This primary structure takes the shape, now it is taking the shape of an alpha helix. This becomes the secondary structure of the protein. It can take the shape of the beta plated sheet also. And the tertiary structure. In tertiary structure, further folds in the secondary form. This was the secondary form. The further fold occurs in this form, give rise to the tertiary structure of proteins. But the basic unit of protein, the primary structure remains the same. This tertiary structure, secondary structure, and secondary structure all arises from the primary structure, one primary structure of the proteins. But the thing which you have to see is the quaternary structure. In quaternary structure, 2 types of polypeptide chains you see here. This is the one sequence of alpha amino acids in a protein, and this is another type of protein which have different sequence of alpha amino acids in it. So this is altogether a different protein, and this is altogether a different protein. So 2 different subunits are arranged in a space. They coil around and they give rise to a quaternary structure. Okay. Now comes the very important topic, which is denaturation of protein. First of all, तो हमें ये देखना होगा कि नेटिव प्रोटीन्स क्या होते हैं. नेटिव प्रोटीन्स जो होते हैं, जो हमारी बॉडी में पाए जाते हैं, these are the proteins found in biological systems with a unique structure and biological activity. Native proteins are found in the biological systems, living systems with a unique structure and biological activity. उनकी जो है native proteins की अलग अलग biological activity के लिए वो बने होते हैं native proteins. So these are called native proteins, which are found in our body, and their purpose is different for different biological activities. Every protein has a purpose of any one biological activity in the living system. So native proteins are called those proteins. When these native proteins undergo any physical or chemical change, then the bonds between them gets disturbed and their structure changes, due to which it loses its biological activity. It means when these native proteins undergo any physical chemical changes, changes in temperature or pressure, change in the pH, then the bonds between them, then the bonds between the proteins gets disturbed and their structure changes, due to which it loses biological activity. Structure changes means the coiling changes, how it has coiled, and that thing changes, but not the primary structure. The primary structure remains intact. The denaturation of proteins do not cause any damage to the primary structure of the proteins, but due to the unfolding and losing its more coiling, it loses its biological activity. It was made. This process is called denaturation of proteins. When the native proteins undergo any physical or chemical change, then the bonds gets disturbed and the structure loses its biological activity. So it is an important fact that when it loses biological activity, then the protein will not serve its purpose. Then the process which it has undergone is denaturation of proteins. That process is called as denaturation of proteins. And during denaturation, secondary and tertiary structures may get disturbed, means coiling and further coiling, they get disturbed, but there will be no effect on their primary structure. The primary structure remains intact, and denaturation does not disturb the primary structure of the proteins. This is the important point of denaturation, whether the denaturation of protein affects the primary structure of the protein. It does not affect the primary structure of the protein. And now if you consider the examples of denaturation of protein, coagulation of egg white on boiling, that is the example of denaturation. Curdling of milk, that is also the denaturation process. So these are the examples of denaturation. Now let us cover the questions on proteins given in the NCERT. Question number 14.11. What are essential and non-essential amino acids? Give two examples of each type. So I have told you earlier that essential amino acids are those which are not synthesized in the body and they are taken from the outside diet. They are called as essential amino acids. And non-essential amino acids, they are synthesized within the body and it is no need to take it from our diet. So they are essential and non-essential amino acids, and I have told you the examples of each essential and non-essential amino acids. Next question, define the following as related to proteins: peptide linkage, primary structure, and denaturation. So what is peptide linkage? Peptide linkage, as I have told you, that proteins are the polymers of alpha amino acids, and alpha amino acids are linked together in a polypeptide chain by a bond which is called as peptide linkage, in which the COH group of one alpha amino acid combines with the NH2 group of another alpha amino acids, and there takes the removal of water. Dehydration takes place. Removal of water takes place and the CONH bond is formed, amide bond is formed, and it gives rise to a product which can be dipeptide, tripeptide, or tetrapeptide. And when the amino acids becomes more than 10, then it is called as a polypeptide chain. So it is a peptide linkage. Primary structure. What is the primary structure of proteins? In primary structure, the alpha amino acids are connected in a particular sequence. That sequence should not be changed for a particular protein. So that particular sequence of amino acids is the identity of that protein. So this is called the primary structure. It is a very important uh, classification of protein. What is the primary structure of protein? And denaturation. Denaturation is the process when the native proteins found in the biological systems undergo any change, physical or chemical change, like change in pH, temperature, etc. They undergo a change, and there is a change in secondary and tertiary structures of those native proteins, but the primary structure remains intact. That is called as denaturation of proteins. uh, and due to this denaturation, the native proteins found in the biological systems loses their biological activity, and this is the drawback of denaturation. The example of this denaturation is curdling of milk and the boiling of egg white. Okay. Now, what are the common types of secondary structure of proteins? As I have told you, the secondary structure of proteins are of two types: alpha helix form and the beta plated sheet form. What type of bonding helps in stabilizing the alpha helix structure of proteins? What type of bonding is present? The hydrogen bonding is present between the COH group and the NH2 group of the adjacent alpha amino acids present in a alpha helix. That helps in the stabilizing the alpha helix structure of the proteins. Differentiate between globular and fibrous proteins. Fibrous proteins in which the polypeptide chains are arranged in parallel way, and they form the fibers like structures. They are called as fibrous proteins, and they are insoluble in water. The example of fibrous proteins are keratin, myosin. Myosin is present in the muscles. And globular proteins when the polypeptide chains arrange itself in by coiling it all around, then it is called as globular protein. Globular proteins are soluble in water, and the examples of this are insulin and albumin. These are the globular proteins. Now, how do you explain the amphoteric behavior of amino acids? The amphoteric behavior of amino acids, when the amino acids, alpha amino acids show amphoteric behavior when they are dissolved in the aqueous medium. In aqueous medium, the alpha amino acids, what happened to the amino acid, molecule of amino acid, the COH group, there is a COH group and NH2 group present in the alpha amino acids. And when we dissolve it in aqueous medium, the the hydrogen of the COH group um, breaks and it gets joined to the NH2 group, and it becomes the NH3 plus, and COH becomes CO negative. So it exists in the plus and minus form of amino acid, and that was called as the deuterion. It has charge, but still it was neutral, and it behaves amphoteric in nature. That deuterion behaves amphoteric in nature because it will react with acid as well as bases. So this was the explanation of the amphoteric behavior of amino acids when the amino acids behaves amphoterically. So what is the effect of denaturation on the structure of proteins? The effect of denaturation means that it only disturbs the secondary and tertiary structures of the proteins, but it does not affect the primary structure of the protein. That is the effect of denaturation on the structure of protein. And what is the consequence of that? The consequence of that is it loses the biological activity. The native protein, native proteins only undergo denaturation, and it loses biological activity when it undergoes denaturation. So these were the questions related to the proteins discussed in the NCERT. So I have discussed it.